In 2023, shortly before he took a step back from weekly videos for his YouTube channel, Tom Scott put out a video detailing every major mistake he had made since 2014. And this video is going to be a similar look back at my own channel history and the mistakes that I have made in the course of my 5 or so years making YouTube videos like this and putting content out on this channel. I am not infallible, and I've certainly made my share of mistakes. In fact, I made one just tonight on our Grid Encore show, talking about the upcoming Xfinity Series race in Mexico City. I was going over the entry list and saw that there were 39 cars for 38 spots for a typical Xfinity Series race, right? Do the math, one car goes home, there's one DNQ. Not exactly in this case. NASCAR instituted a new provisional for this race that opens the field up to 40 cars, and that means that all of these cars, all 39 of the entry list, will get to start the race, and there are no DNQs for this upcoming race weekend, which I'm sure is a sigh of relief for all of these Xfinity Series teams, but it is a mistake that I made nonetheless. Thankfully, I was able to catch it quickly and make the correction on the air, but it once again proved that I am far from perfect. Let's take a look back at my own channel history right here and go through some things that I've gotten slightly wrong and needed to correct the record on, but haven't gotten a chance to do so in some cases until this moment right here, right now. They're all the way out in Sonoma, California, over 2,100 miles from Milwaukee. That's by car. I've mapped it out on Google Maps, and this is particularly perplexing to me because I know I rewatched the entire broadcast before making that video. ESPN showed the distance by plane. It's a little over 1,800 miles. It's not 2,100. I don't know how I missed that, but I thought, I'll just type it into Google Maps and see how far it is, and I suppose that's accurate if you're taking a big road trip, but that's not what Denny Hamlin or Carl Edwards or David Reagan, for that matter, were doing. They obviously were traveling by plane and by helicopter, which means the distance is just from point A to point B. Thankfully, like I said, I've already redone that video and got that correction made. That was a huge disappointment, of course, to Eric. Now, it's still not excusable because I'm just reading words on text there, which, to be fair, I'm doing when I type my scripts out regardless, but this is a direct quote. This is something that's important to get right, and I clearly didn't. I was reading it too quickly, said the word wrong, but once again, have gone back and corrected the record on that one. Carl Edwards was leading in the closing laps and looked set to finally take his first Cup title. Carl was, in fact, leading among the Championship 4 drivers, but Kyle Larson was leading the race. Again, this was a video that I kind of rushed together and didn't do my due diligence on as closely as I should have, and that was a fact that slipped through the cracks. I should have been more specific and said he was the lead Championship 4 driver, which would have given him a championship had the race run to its conclusion under green before the untimely restart that ultimately led to that block that cost Carl the championship, and that was ultimately his final moment in NASCAR as a driver. But a fact that I got slightly wrong there nonetheless. In the round of 8, Harvick closed in on Joey Logano in the closing laps. I only said the round of 8. I didn't mention which track it was. Now, any NASCAR fan that was watching this could have been able to tell that it was Kansas, and the point still stands, but to any casual viewers, why would I not say the track name there? Again, that just comes down to me wanting to rush the video out, I think, and not doing my due diligence in writing my script. It was hosted by game show legend Chuck Woolery, who had previously hosted the original Wheel of Fortune, Love Connection, Scrabble, The Dating Game, Lingo, and GSN's hilariously awful $1 Million Cat game show, Think Like a Cat. Well, of course he had previously hosted Wheel of Fortune, Love Connection, Scrabble, and The Dating Game, but to say he had previously hosted Lingo and that Think Like a Cat game show, if you want to include that one, clearly I did since I put it in my original video, is simply not accurate because those came after Greed. I should have included a transition there to say he would go on to host those two shows for the Game Show Network, but again, just comes down to me rushing in my script. I didn't include that clause there in that sentence. Former Delaware 87er Baron Davis is here too. Here I was trying to make a reference to my home state of Delaware, and I messed it up here too. This race took place in 2007. Delaware 87ers didn't even exist yet. Baron Davis would go on to play for them when he was attempting his NBA comeback, and in wanting to mention that fact, I got the tense slightly wrong once again. This was a future event that I implied took place in the past. When I said former, I should have said future. He wouldn't attempt a full season again until the 1998 kart season. I think AJ Foyt had pretty much retired by 1998. If I recall correctly, I think he was doing some NASCAR truck races into the mid-90s. I think 1996 might have been the last one that he attempted. I don't recall him racing in 1998. If he did, he certainly wasn't racing at that level. So 88 was the correct year there. Again, just misspoke. No excuse for it.
Reports also stated that the Wheel of Fortune staff had been left in the dark in terms of what was going on, which ironically was a similar complaint when Richards was at CBS.
I was corrected in the comments on this one. Richards was technically an employee of Fremantle. Those shows aired on CBS, but Fremantle Media was the production company behind them, and that's the employer for Mike Richards that I should have mentioned in this video. And obviously, with Alex's sudden passing, he had pancreatic cancer for 19 months. Hi, it's Editing Ben here. Just going back and doing the math, Alex made the announcement on March 6th, 2019, and he passed away on November 8th, 2020. That's actually 20 months, so there you go. There's technically a mistake in this video right here as well. I guess that maybe speaks to how well Alex fought that fight and how bravely he fought that fight, that his death still came as such a shock that we weren't expecting to wake up to the news that day. But again, even if I'd said shocking passing, that still probably wouldn't be 100% accurate, but it would have felt accurate in that sense. Sudden is just objectively not true. The man fought stage 4 pancreatic cancer for a year and a half, and I don't think you can really justify using that word there. I don't know why that word came to my mind. Again, I think I just misspoke, and once I put it out there, it was out there. She initially stepped away on her own in solidarity with the writers before going on strike herself with her union SAG-AFTRA. Now, it's right there in the pinned comment of this video. I was corrected by a user under the name The Game Show Host. Under the SAG-AFTRA network code, Mayim was not allowed to strike herself. I admit I didn't follow the strike as closely as some others did. It just seemed like there was so much information and so many updates coming out in such a short time period. And by the time I got around to making that video, some of that information had kind of blurred together in my mind. And in doing my research, again, perhaps in haste, I got some of those facts slightly wrong there, but I'd let the pinned comment speak for itself there. If you want further detail, you can go check it out on that video.
Inexplicably, Paul Tracy erases his time from 33rd. He must have thought it wasn't good enough and that he needed to set a faster 4-lap average to ensure he'd have a starting spot. But he goes slower and waves off his attempt, leaving him without a time, and putting Jay Howard on the bubble. And then, in an even more shocking move, Howard erases his time as well, in order to prevent Tracy from making another run.
Complete chaos, utter confusion. Nobody knew what was unfolding in real time. And I guess to be fair to earlier me, even the great Bob Jenkins got this wrong, and nobody on the Versus broadcast appeared to correct him. Here's what happened. Paul Tracy did in fact withdraw a time that would have had him start 33rd in the Indianapolis 500. But what had happened to Jay Howard was his time that originally was good enough had bumped him down to 34th. So the run that Jay Howard made was out of necessity at the time. He ended up going slower than Sebastian Saavedra's time that he couldn't improve upon because he had a crashed car and was in the hospital. But it was, even though it was just barely, still slower than Saavedra's time, which means the last run that Howard made as the gun went off was in fact necessary. It wasn't them withdrawing their time that they would have gotten back. They didn't get it back, just like Paul Tracy didn't get his time back. They were on the time that they had last run, and their 4-lap average was slower than Saavedra's. They had to go out and make that last attempt, and that was made clear again in a comment and in a recent video that was put out as well. A very confusing situation, and again, I'll extend some grace to myself here, and I hope you do as well, because even the Versus broadcast didn't seem to have 100% clarity in terms of what was going on there and the rules of that session.
Here's the clarification. When Paul Tracy pulled his time to make another run, you pull it for good. You don't get it back. Paul Tracy isn't on the bubble. Paul Tracy withdrew his time. Sebastian Saavedra is the one back in. He has a crash car, and he might get in the Indy 500.
That's what it is, yeah.
Now, this last one is by far the worst mistake I've made. And again, it's subtle. It's something that I didn't notice and that no commenter noticed until multiple years after the video went out. It's my video on NASCAR overtime and the example I used of the 2011 Coca-Cola 600.
This is what cost Dale Jr. the win in the 2011 Coke 600. He was told he was good on fuel and started pushing hard in closing laps. But the race went into overtime and Kevin Harvick came through for the win, extending a 3-year winless streak for the most popular driver in NASCAR as he coasted across the line in 7th place.
In the video, I imply that Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have won this race had NASCAR overtime not existed. But the fact of the matter is, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was not the only car that was trying to make the fuel stretch that was impacted by that overtime finish. And if the race had run to its scheduled distance, he would have only finished second, perhaps even third, in that race. if those cars had been allowed to coast under caution to the checkered flag at mile number 600. It was only that Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a little bit more fuel in his car than Kasey Kahne that allowed him to take the lead on that restart and nearly win the race as he ran out of fuel in turn number 4. And of course, Kevin Harvick went on to win that one instead. But to say that Jr. would have won this race, or imply that he would have won this race had it been run to its scheduled distance, is simply not true. Again, it's something that you can only pick up on if you're really paying attention, but when you think about it, it's a pretty serious error that has been made, and it's something that, again, I pinned the comment for because we had to correct the record. So there you have it. More proof that I am far from perfect, and I can only ask for your forgiveness and understanding because, like all of us, I am not infallible. I will continue to make mistakes. There may be a part 2 to this video one day, but I did want to go back and take this opportunity to correct the record on some of the facts that I've gotten wrong in the videos that I've made in the past. I want to thank you all for continuing to stick with me as well, whether you follow us on the Grid Network or through my own personal channel, or you're reading my articles for Brock Beard and LastCar.info. I truly appreciate every single one of you that continues to support my work. I want to continue to create content for this channel. I know that's kind of been lacking in recent months with how busy I've been doing the grid shows and everything, but I do still have video ideas in the work for both the NASCAR world, the game show world, other motorsports content I want to put out. I'm going to get to it eventually, I promise you guys. But I have been very busy with my other commitments, and it's been harder to find that time. But it's not like I've forgotten about this channel here. I'm doing this video right now. I'm giving you guys some grid clips, trying to fill this channel the best I can in the meantime. If you have any ideas, you have anything you want to see me talk about, or anything that you want my opinions on, you can feel free to let me know in the comments. And again, I will try to cover it to the best of my ability, and I apologize in advance for any mistakes I will continue to make in the future. Until next time, I'm Ben Schneider. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.